All right, y'all, we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business today. Gonna see if it has BSS for either of these two Google searches. All right, so we're in the GBC universe, taking declining boudoir photographers to the number one boudoir photographer in their city. And our North Star, as always, is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. And FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we're rising, that means we're attracting, we're bringing in people across the entire intent ladder, high intent to low intent. If we're falling, we're missing peeps somewhere along the intent ladder. We're not successfully bringing them in, or even making them aware we exist. So, BSS, focusing here on this, this profile, this brand, focusing on the highest intent buyers, searching right now for boudoir photo shoots right in their city, social search, and Google search. Then our other brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, focusing on BLCS. Right now, we're only working with boudoir photographers spending more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. And that's actually going to be the lowest intent people, in any location, but it's going to have the highest number of them. All right, so BSS is boudoir search sameness. That is when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And as a result, if we got 0 slots, we're basically dead, kind of dead in the water for on page 2 or deeper. And that's because we already know that approximately 80% of Google searches are page 1 only Google searches. So they never even go to page 2. So we care about this 80% cohort. This is the bulk of the market. So if we're in 0 slots on page 1, we're invisible to them because they ain't clicking any page deeper at all. Now, if we got 1 slot on page 1, it's also as boudoir search sameness because we're looking the same as every other boudoir photographer. Everyone else on page 1's got most likely 1 link. So anyone going down the Google search, they're clicking us, they're clicking first link, second link, third link, all 10 links, opening up everyone, contacting everyone, getting a quote from everyone, price shopping everyone. And so boudoir search sameness, not good for us. Now, 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google is actually not normal, extremely common, but to have that few number of slots page 1 of Google is not normal. It's actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are 1, which many people know about, which is market saturation, and 2, which basically nobody knows about, is the false belief of page 1 equality. So market saturation, it's when someone gets a new iPhone, all of a sudden they're throwing up, Google My Business profile, Google My Business profile, basically increasing and throwing up their website, competing more for page 1 dominance. Or they get a new camera, then they start posting them on Facebook groups. So basically they're increasing the supply of boudoir photographers where the number of buyers in the market remains fixed, which means it's making it harder for every current boudoir photographer to get clients. A big tsunami when that happened was when we had COVID. So when we had COVID, massive, when people lost their jobs, they still need to earn an income. So a lot of them came out as boudoir photographers, saturating the market, making it harder for all the current sellers. Now, the second deeper root cause is the false belief of page 1 equality. This is what I've seen is the number 1 killer of boudoir photography businesses. It's basically kind of this false belief is assuming that every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And, as a result, we, if you got 1 slot, okay, got 1 slot on page 1 and get some more market saturation. All right, we're pushed down onto, basically we're pushed on to, page 2, but that's fine because every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1. So I guess it's not my time anymore. Hopefully they, they shut down their website. So maybe I got a chance to go back on page 1. But no, that is 100% incorrect. Google actually wants to give as many page 1 slots to the boudoir photographer that wants as many as they'll put in the effort to acquire. And I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 on Google to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 on Google in only 10 days. And so I know for a fact Google will give the slots to those who truly want them. Now, boudoir photographer with BSS, boudoir search sameness, is a disappearing boudoir photographer. Because yeah, dude, basically we're either got 0 slots on page 1, so on page 2 or deeper. And again, approximately 80% of searchers. The bulk of the market ain't never going to see us because they're page 1 only. And then for 1 slot on page 1, we don't stand out. We're not different. We're being price shopped against everyone who also has, 1 slot on page 1. So what's the solution? We got the solution. BSS is treated with social search saturation SQ'd methodology. We know this is a solution because we invented it. Again, this is what I used to go from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 in 10 days. Google page 1 search. And this is actually the only solution I've seen that can successfully fight back against market saturation. Basically, we saturate social search with the highest intent keywords, so we show up there. And once we saturate there, the outcome is actually that flows into those results actually flow onto Google page 1 or Google. And if we get enough signals, obviously that puts us a higher chance Google puts us at Google page 1. So the SQ'd methodology, to use it, we have to accept page 1 equality as a false belief, which kind of breaks that brain barrier to, okay, what's the solution we can use? SQ'd methodology. And it's the only thing that I've seen that actually can successfully fight back against market saturation for boudoir photographers, because imagine we're in San Jose, California. It's a million boudoir photographers. Everyone's got a website. We're one of the boudoir photographers. Everyone's trying to be ranked page 1 Google, but we employ SQ'd methodology to the max, where we're taking up the first 300 slots for social search on all the platforms for our highest intent buyer keywords, which then flows onto Google. And let's say we're the first 300 slots on Google for our highest intent keywords as well. Well, that means literally the first 30 pages is filled up with only us on Google organic search. And so when we have that, buyers got to go to page 31 to essentially find any other competitors, and no one's going to page 31. So buyers can essentially only find us. So even if there's max a ton of boudoir photographers, market gets more and more saturated, we stay dominating page 1, which is actually where the bulk of searches stop. 80% of them, approximately 80% of them. So whose business is growing? Our business is growing. Whose business is disappearing? Everyone else. Even though the market's super saturated. Now, once you're with SQ'd methodology, we have page 1 visibility. Page 1 visibility is getting at least 2 out of 10 slots on page 1, where we're actually looking different. We do have a GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 though, 3 slots out of 10 slots. And once we actually achieve that, we get an extra bonus, which is for every new slot we take up on page 1, we're actually kicking competing boudoir photographers off page 1, effectively making them invisible. So this is kind of an extra bonus of ranking on page 1, is we're actually kicking a competitor off page 1, and we already know approximately 80% of searchers never even go to page 2. So we effectively make our competitors invisible. But we do want to hit the GBC minimum of at least 3 out of 10. Now, page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So we don't have 0 out of 1. 0 slots on page 1. We don't have 1 slot on page 1. We do not have 2 slots on page 1. Well, 2 slots on page 1 means we don't have BSS, but that means we have not hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page 1. And we want to hit that because we actually if we got 3 out of 10 on page 1, one, we're kicking 2 competitors off, or maybe even 3. Also, we're going to look way more visible than simply having the people with 1 link. And very rarely will there be someone else with two links, but we'll look even better than them as well. And a boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer. So we got to get visible. So this is our universe here. We got disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by kind of the dual horns of market saturation and page 1 equality, the false belief of page 1 equality. And we achieve, or we utilize S-cube methodology. That's our solution. We achieve page 1 visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. So my results using this is my own S-cubed methodology for myself. I wanted to rank for the keyword BLCS boudoir. So came in here, gonna look at the organic, and got organic slot 1, Instagram, slot 2, slot 3, slot 4, slot 5, slot 6, slot 7, slot 8, and slot 10. But we got 9 out of 10 slots on Google here, simply from utilizing our S-cubed methodology. And this went from 0 out of 10 to 9 out of 10 in 10 days. So now we're here to the main event, the main course. Gonna see if this boudoir photographer has BSS for either of these Google searches, so local search and a city search. So let's see. So first looking in Gretna, Nebraska, and we got, all right, so we're going to the organic search. So we got 1. Yeah, we got 2. Well, we don't have the word boudoir here, so we don't count that. Slot 3 here, we got boudoir, that counts as 2. Think of micro photography. Okay, we'll count the 2 without the boudoir. We'll count that as 1. So we got 3 out of 10 slots. Here we go. 4 out of 10 slots. Here's a boudoir. Here's a one that has boudoir on it, and boudoir right there. 5. And then we got and then let's see. Looks like we got 6 here actually. So we got 6 out of 10 for local search. So this is super amazing. And all right, so local search is perfect. And now we're going to go to city search, Omaha, Nebraska. So we're going to go down to the organic. Let's see how many we got local search as well. First for the city search. Let's see what we got. All right, we got nope. No. All right, so it looks like, all right, dude, we're literally pulling in 0 peeps from Omaha. So we literally got 0 out of 10. So we definitely got BSS for the second search, the city search. But so Gretna, no BSS. We actually hit the GBC minimum, at least 3 out of 10. And Omaha, Nebraska, we're not hitting the, we do have BSS and we're not hitting the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, you've done a local search for the highest intent keywords for buyers in your city, in your local area and your city, and you're seeing you've got boudoir search sameness, either 0 or 1 slots on page 1. You're not hitting the GBC to minimum on page 2. And you understand, you kind of broken through the brain barrier that, yeah, page 1 equality, that's a false belief, and we can actually take as many page 1 slots as we want. And you've also seen market saturation. Yeah, more people getting more iPhones, new iPhones, get new cameras who come with boudoir photographers. But you also see AI going to be taking more and more people's jobs, leading into way more boudoir photographers coming into the market. And you say, oh man, got to prepare for this big supply side shock that's coming. And we can do that by, and you're saying, oh, S cubed methodology, perfect. That's perfect for that. It allows us to saturate social search, which then allows, as a result, allows us to saturate page one Google search for the highest intent keywords. So basically anywhere any buyer searches, we are dominating kind of the attention space there. And so you're seeing S-cubed methodology. You want to achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, achieve boudoir search visibility. You want to hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 on all of the, on all of the local search and city search. And so you're seeing S-cubed methodology is what you want to utilize. And you're also seeing kind of the extra bonuses on the back end. Kind of more thematic keyword columns that we create that we use S-cubed methodology around the highest intent keywords, then the higher the probability that we get ranked here for AI overview for local search and city search, kind of as the only featured prominent one, because this is pulling from, thematic keyword kind of repetition, authority, age. So higher chance of achieving that with S-cubed methodology kind of as a back-end bonus, and higher chance of showing up in AI search. I actually have an AI search on the back-end ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini, Claude, Perplexity. Because I remember last time I checked for boudoir photographers in a city, dude, it only brought up 3. So if we get our kind of our thematic keyword columns created attached to our brand, then higher chance we show up in Google, all these AI searches. And as a result, kind of some back-end bonus. Also, the more we do S-cubed methodology, kind of more momentum we build up against anyone else, any other boudoir photographers competing against us in our current city. So my plan right now is to only work with one boudoir photographer for a city. So we can build up all that distance, all that momentum, all these front end benefits, obviously, saturating social search and Google page one search, kicking other boudoir photographers off. Also the back end momentum, high recommendations, AI overview, Google search, and AI, all the different AI searches in general. And as a result, you're saying, hey, probably should be a first mover on this because someone else is a first mover in our city, then, and since my plan is to work with only one person per city on this at a time, then if you weren't working with me, you have to rederive S-cubed methodology on your own, kind of our proprietary method. And then even when you don't know if you're doing it exactly right, or exactly as we've derived it, then you have to equal our execution to maintain the gap between your competitor and your competitor who I could be working with. And you'd actually have to double or triple our capacity to kind of make up all the momentum we would have already achieved. And so you're like, all right, it's better to simply, be first mover on this, get prepared for AI to force some more boudoir photographers into the market. And so you're like, all right, S-cubed methodology is what I need. I'm ready to go now. So if that's you, shoot me a DM when my DM's open. I'm currently not open for new patient intake, but I will let you know when I am. The hospital is not currently open for new patient intake, but when I do open the hospital, keep watching these videos. That'll tell you actually when the hospital's open. Shoot us a DM and we'll see if you qualify for S-cubed methodology.